you all. Greetings.
Greetings, John.
We have a smaller group this time, but that's fine, because those of you that are here because you need to hear what I want to talk about. And lots of chaos going on in the earth plane. More right now than before. And it's fear. Fear is controlling almost everyone. Those in your government who are moving out, especially at the very highest level, are hopeful that things will work well. And so that is calm they are presenting. The ones who voted for their choice this time are elated, but they're also apprehensive because they're not quite sure what's going to unfold, but they thought what they are putting in will take them back to an area where they understood what was happening. There were no rights for people who did not think like them and did not live the lifestyle they have. So it was a lot of fear and a lot of things where they thought it would make big shifts. And there will be changes, but it will not be as dramatic as people who didn't vote for this candidate are afraid of. He's not going to push a button on a nuclear thing to cause millions of deaths. That will not happen. He has talked that he would bomb people. That is not going to happen. He is very dramatic when he speaks, but then he also has a thought process which doesn't go with that drama. He says these things and then pulls back. He enjoys the attention, and he enjoyed running for president. I don't think he will enjoy presidency as much. It's more of a burden than he expected. He did not expect to win. He thought this was something that would be fun to do, interesting to do. He did not expect to wind up in the Oval Office. So this will be a shift for him. It's going to take a lot more energy than he expected. But the bottom line is he will make an attempt to do some things. And he will not be a Hitler. That's what has been an underlying fear in many hearts and thoughts. It is not what will happen. There will be some changes he will make that people will not like, but there will be some things he won't do that his followers want him to do. There's going to be, even though it's all one party, it seems, governing, there will be heads butting, and it will be difficult for things to move through. It's not going to be a smooth transition at all for anyone watching. It will be energies coming at each other with different ideas, even though they're all one party. So it's not going to be doom and gloom like everyone is afraid of. Things will pretty much go along. There will be some things that there will be some big fights in the Congress about. And my hope that you will all stay calm and centered in your truth, that you are all beings more than you know. You are all powerful beings. You are all part of the Christ consciousness that is emerging on the earth plane. So each one of you is walking your path. Do not allow these outside shrill voices to come at you. To stay centered in your meditation practice, to stay centered in your practice of prayer and truth. You all have a purpose, you all have a reason, and each one of you is a divine being that is here. So the puzzle piece that is the earth plane at this time would not exist without you, not as well. So remember that when you see these things unfolding and you feel powerless. What is unfolding right now in all governments is a lot of chaos because the energies of the New Age are trying to come in. People feel very uncomfortable with it. It doesn't feel like it used to. And financially, many people are struggling and didn't expect to be struggling. They have master's degrees and they expected when they came out of the education system that they would be on an upward mobility. It hasn't happened. The next 4 years will not make that big of a change, so you're going to have more disappointments. But just allow yourself to stay in prayer. Try not to get caught up in it. There has been a big shadow self that has been going on because of fear, and both sides. And so people have really gotten caught up in it, people you wouldn't expect to, who have stepped away from being centered in peace and allowed all this chaos to envelop them. Now it's time to step away from all of that and to stand centered in your truth. So that's really what I want to talk to people about, because I know there's a lot of fear going on that this man would get you in a war immediately, bombing innocent people. That's not going to happen. There are going to be things that do happen that you won't like, but that always happens in government. Everyone thinks they have the idea, the right idea, but most people are not willing to step forward to try to make changes in government because it's so difficult, especially in a country as big as this one, where you have all different types of people with all different types of ideas and all different types of what would make this country great. The United States is a country of immigrants. That's what it was designed for in the very beginning, for people to come here and learn new ways of living. There are so many wrongs that have happened in this country to the original occupants, and so we still see this playing out. Keep your prayers with them, because it's been very difficult for them to continue to survive as a race, but they will. And it can be a blending. This can be a time, I want you to look at this time of chaos as a time where you can step forward and be the healing process, where each one of you can step forward in your meditations, in your prayer work, and the energy that you bring to everything you do to be a person who walks what your belief is. Each one of you is important and necessary. So that was what I really wanted to talk about, because I know there was a lot of upset, a lot of fear, and I thought, what I can see, somebody said a year ago, I said everything would be okay, and it will be. It will be okay. You're not going to be winding up living outside of your homes with fires and going back 100 years or 200 years. That's not going to happen. So it's just going to be a time of adjustment, and you can all help bring the peace forward that this country needs. Now I'm going to take some questions, and it can be about anything. I don't care if it's personal. Rebecca will stop it, so it will not go on. But I want to hear your thoughts, what you're interested in, and we'll go from there. Don't everybody talk at once, okay?
I'll ask a question.
Okay.
John, I would like to know the weather part of this winter. Is it going to be snowy, snowy? Or is it going to be warmer? Or I'm just planning my winter.
Yeah, it will not be warmer. This is going to be colder than it was. Was it? It was cold last year, wasn't it? But this is going to be a very cold winter. You're going to have snow. You're going to have ice. But right here, this part is not going to be as bad as it is going to be in the northern parts of the state. And then up east, New York and those areas, that's not going to be good at all. I see this winter too that California and that whole area there is going to be, it's going to be wet. They've had a drought, so it's not going to be, it's going to come too fast to help them. So they're going to have some flooding, which it's unusual for them. But especially up in Washington, around Canada there, they're going to have a lot of bad weather. They're going to have a blizzard, and it'll be after the first of the year. So here, you're going to have snow, you're going to have cold, but it's not going to be as bad here as it is in the northern part of this state, and then up Michigan, they're going to have a lot of bad weather. The South is going to have wetness, and they're going to have some flooding, and that's not going to work very well for them. So does that answer?
Well, more specific, yes, it does, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Is Georgia going to be better? Are they going to be able to have more moisture to get rid of their drought?
Georgia?
Georgia.
Oh yeah, that's next to Florida.
Yes.
Right here.
Yes.
Yeah. They're going to have weird weather. They're going to have some sections where they have a lot of rain and it's almost flooding, and then there's other sections where they need it, it's still going to be dry. That state has, it's an interesting area of the country, that little area right there, where they have clay, and then they have some really sandy parts of the state. And so all of that impacts the way the weather comes in. So they're going to have a lot of water in some spots, and it's going to be very dry in others.
Okay, thank you very much.
Do you live there? You don't live there.
I don't live there, no.
Oh.
Just interested.
Oh.
I have a question on the changes that are going to happen. Will there be much change in the area of women's health? That's an area of concern for me.
Yeah.
That if the rights of women will be taken away.
They're going to attempt to do that, yes. You have the one who's in the vice presidency.
Yes.
Who's very strong on that. And
Yes.
he feels that's a moral imperative. It's not a political imperative for him, it's moral. He feels that the idea of women being able to not bear a child is absolutely immoral and wrong, and he will fight to overturn things. He will put a lot of energy in that. He will not be doing the vice presidency job that he should be doing. So there's going to be a conflict between him and the leader and his vice president. That this connection between the two of them looks like it would be a match made in heaven. It is not. There's going to be a lot of conflict between them, and that will stop some of these ideas of really radical change for women to go through. But Planned Parenthood is still going to have a fight on their hands, and they have been misrepresented. And so what could happen, the best thing that could happen for that organization, who is an organization fighting for women, that they are finally understood, not as just an abortion clinic, which is what and this man is putting out too, and it is not the truth about that. But it's going to be the whole time, this 4 year, there's going to be an up and down fight constantly for women's rights.
And my other question is, he's not going to follow through in jailing Hillary, right?
He's not, no, but that makes a good soundbite. No, he's done. He's done. And actually, in reality, her talk with him on the phone, she was very classy, very gracious, and it took him back some. That it moved him away from the adversarial role with her. So he may talk that, but I do not believe he will move forward with it.
So from your vantage point, for women to care for their own well-being, any recommendations of what women can do in addition to their own personal work and standing in their own power?
Yeah, it would be good if women would be more united, and they are not. And also, what would be good is if women are not talking about who they voted for. Because right away, that brings up a division. So I would say don't discuss that for women, and to come together as women who are the nurturers of the earth, who are the reason the race is still going. So they need to look at that and to put their energy toward helping one another instead of being so judgmental of each other. You're seeing on this internet how one mother does something and another judges her for it. That needs to be let go of. And so what would happen is if some small grassroots groups would get together as women and decide to support women in ways they could, and do some different events to put money into areas where women are struggling, single parents are struggling, where they could do things to help them. And that will outpicture in a way where women see they are united. They are not competing for anything. One of the things women grow up with in this society, well, most of the world's society, is they are supposed to compete for men, because that's an old idea when women absolutely had to have men to be able to survive. And not that each race, each sex is important, and it needs to have a balance. So if women would stop competing with each other, that would be very helpful. You'll have some who won't, but if they would start to work together and look at each other with compassion, because women are what the glue that will keep this world going. I'm not saying women are more important than men, but I am saying they should be equal, and they haven't been. So if they stop competing with each other and looking at each other and the way this person thinks and this person thinks and this person lives, to lend a helping hand, whether you do it physically or you do it emotionally with compassion and prayer, this will start to make a shift. Does that make sense to you, Becky?
Mm-hmm.
I have a question about Hillary. I would like to know if she has integrity. I've always liked her, and so many people have hated her. I just wonder if I'm like way off base.
It's very interesting about her persona that comes across. She is a person who's very pragmatic. So she's going to look at different ways to get things done. Will she step over the line? She has a couple times, but her idea is to protect children. It's always been her focal point. When she became a mother, she would have wanted to have more children, but that was not in the cards for her. So it caused her to focus on other mothers with other children, and she has always been very strong on helping children. And one of the reasons she wanted to be the Secretary of State is she wanted to see if she could impact change in countries that she went to with the children. So that's always been her focus. She is a person of integrity. Is she perfect? No. She makes mistakes. And it's very interesting to see the way the energy has been geared at her. Those who step in energy that is of a darker sort, they pull away from their truth, are very threatened by her. She has in the past caused some of these people who are business people to take away opportunities where they could make money. And so that's part of what has come at her. There have been a lot of distortions. Another thing is the man she's married to. He is very disliked by many people, and as such, that flows over to her. So, but she will continue to do whatever she can with her work to help children in the world, because that's her goal.
John, on that note, a lot of friends and family for Hillary, they don't like the idea that she supposedly isn't, backs big business, and the insurance companies, the pharmaceuticals, and then there's this thing about her killing everybody that gets in her way. Is there, I don't know, this is a lot of people believe that.
Yeah, that's what I said. She's very pragmatic. So she does look at a picture and try to move forward. I don't really understand this where she would kill people, but
Well, not
they're saying
herself,
she
but yeah.
knives people in the back. Is that what they're saying?
No, for example, if something was going to come out about her, then that person ends up dying. Yeah, this is what I'm dealing with my family.
Oh, well,
This is what they
Yeah.
believe, and a lot of people believe.
yeah, and she's really been more misrepresented than almost any public figure. Part of it is she's a woman. Part of it is she's very bright, and it frightens people. She also seems to come from very upper middle class, very educated, very above. And that is part of what has hurt her, because she has not been able to show her real self, the warmth. She comes across very intelligent, but the heart that she has, it doesn't come across. So she's been misjudged many times by that. And no matter what is said, people have an idea and they stick with it. So you cannot change anybody's mind. And so if that makes them happy, even though they're not thinking truth, that's the way it is. It happens to all public figures all the time. And different people see different things and decide they like this. They may like some celebrity, and yet that is not the truth. These reality shows are very strange. Very strange. And I think it shows a lack in your society where people are not allowing their own self to be as important as what they see on the television. So that, you see, it's very interesting what's happening right now. I've been watching this, and the way the energies are flowing through, and there's so much chaos, and they hit people. You've got a lot of young souls on the earth plane at the moment, and they're here for a reason. But if things do not feel exactly as they're used to, then it's very jarring to them, and then they don't see clearly, and they get very confused, and then they pick on somebody whose fault it is. That's one of the things we're seeing right now in this country is people are looking at government and blaming them. They are looking at others and saying, my life is not working because of your fault. And as students, that's not the way it is. You all have challenges, you all have, perhaps we could call it crucifixions in your life that you have to overcome, where it takes you down and then you have to walk back up, climb back up to remember your true nature. So that's what's happening. I see in this country where people are very frightened about the future. Finances is frightening them. And so that's what's going on right now. So but you know, it's moving now. The energies are moving. You're going into, I would say around spring, things will calm down. And people will not be so agitated. I recommend you do not watch the news because they show the very worst of life. And it's many things that you can do nothing about. If you can stay centered in yourselves and your higher self, with meditation, with speaking with others, with being part of events like this and other events where you are speaking with those who are moving away from the hype that's going on, then you will be more peaceful.
Can I just, okay.
Of course.
With the financial part of that,
Uh-huh.
with the younger generation, when they do graduate from college, they have huge debt.
Mm-hmm.
And if they were to pay their debt and their college loans, they would have no money to live on to pay their bills.
That's right.
So they're concerned about their credit score, their future, their everything. So what would be a suggestion when they have their college loans to pay and they have everyday expenses to pay?
Right. And that's why so many of them cannot move out.
Right.
Because of the college loans. So it's a system that's not working. It's broken, obviously. And what one government official tried to do is to see if he could get it shifted.
Yeah.
But that didn't happen. So what could happen now is for these loans to work with some financial planners, and I'm not talking about a local, I'm talking about on a higher level, to work with Congress as well, and to get these extended out so that they can, because the way it is with those kind of loans, they cannot get rid of them.
No.
These are not loans where you can declare bankruptcy.
Right.
No, they stay forever. So what needs to happen is these need to be renegotiated and stretched out so there's a payment that is affordable and still be able to move out of parents' home and have their own home. And that can happen. There are some people working behind the scenes who were in government before, who are attempting to do that with some banks to get it changed out. And there are some humanitarian people, not necessarily from this country, but who are trying to shift the way things go as far as the loans. So I think you may see within 2 years that there will be a shifting of this, that they will be able to slide it through. Because Congress is going to be involved in other things. And so this may be able, because you have some leaders on both sides of the aisle who want this to go through, who have seen how difficult it is for these youngsters getting out of college with a big debt load. So I think you'll see in 2 years that that's going to shift, where it's going to be stretched out so it's more affordable.
So in the meantime, for example, my son, I just told him pay what you can on the college loans and then you need money to live, so pay. Okay, thanks.
Well, he needs to talk to perhaps the loan officer to see now, because he does not want to have bad credit.
No, he doesn't, right.
You know, so he needs to see if he can do something with this that extends out a little bit so he is able to make it.
Thank
But
you.
yeah, that's a difficulty that's happened, I would say, in the last, 10, 15 years in this country, where everyone had to go to college.
Yeah.
And if you didn't have the money, you had to borrow the money to go. And then you see it doesn't work out that well for many of these youngsters who are coming out of college and thought, well, I've got this degree, now I will have this job, but I still have to pay for this degree. So it hasn't worked out very well. But be patient, in a couple of years you're going to see a change to where it's more affordable, because it's gotten to the point where many youngsters are involved in this process, and Congress is going to have to take a look at it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I have one more question, and that's in relationship to the Supreme Court appointment.
Oh.
Will that happen before Mr. Obama leaves office?
No,
Oh,
no. They're going to do whatever they can to stop that. He is a very good person lined
yeah.
up, but they're going to do whatever they can. It's politics as usual. So it will be interesting too, because even though the Republicans, they're not all on the same page, so they're going to come up with more candidates. So it could be a while before you have another justice, because they're all going to fight each other. Unbelievable to see the energy and the way it's coming at each other. It's like sparks of energy. So they are not united. They may say they are, but they are not united. So the person that the president right now has put up there, they're going to fight that. So I do not see that going through, and I see it being a while before you have a new justice up there. That's the least of their thoughts at the moment anyway, of what's going on right now. Because everybody is jockeying for position.
Right.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. What will be the status for those in same-sex relationships, marriages and things like that with
Well,
respect to?
Yeah, that can't be changed. There'll be some talk about that. There are some in Congress who think that's terrible. There are others who don't even want to talk about it because they don't think it's important. You know, so you've got different ideas in that Congress about that. I do not see that shifting, but I do see what they're going to try and do is take away the insurance rights for spouses of same-sex marriage. I do see that coming up, and that's going to be bitterly fought. And that may happen, that may be taken away. But, you know, 4 years, different governments. So, but yes, I see that being, that's very high on the vice president's mind.
What about the Obamas? Mr. Obama and Michelle, what type of things do you see them getting into?
I see both of them, especially her. Now his role in life is to govern. He has very clear ideas. He's very intelligent, and so he's going to see some of these things and just shudder, probably. But Michelle is very happy to be out of the White House. She's been doing the job very well, but she is happy to have private life back again. So I see them being involved in community affairs, and I also see them being involved in some charities, and they will have people coming to them for a library for him, and he's going to want to wait on that. So, but they're not back in private life where they're not going to be having attention, because unfortunately they will. She would like that. President Obama, he really came here to affect the world in the way he has done. So that's been his calling. So he will still be involved in things, but not necessarily government. He will be involved in some charities that he thinks make a difference. So you see that unfold. She will be happy to be able to go shopping without cameras at her all the time, but she probably still will have that.
Is there going to be any shifting within the earth itself, physical shifting with all the change?
Yes, and you'll see that unfolding up around Washington State and in that area. There'll be some in New York at the very edge there of the state. There'll be some shifting, and you'll have some here. In the center of your state, there'll be some little earthquakes, small ones. You've had a couple already, and you're going to have some more. So we'll continue. Florida is going to continue to have sinkholes a lot. And New Orleans is going to continue to have problems because how low they are. They're going to have some shifting, which they haven't had. They've had floods. This will be different. The earth will be trying to right itself still. So it won't be just this country, it'll be other countries that you will see these changes happening where there will be shifts, there will be floods. This weather that you have seen that you feel is very bizarre for the world will continue. You will have areas of the world that have not had wet weather, may have it. You'll have droughts in areas where they're trying to grow things. So this will continue because the earth is trying to right itself with all that has been done, all the damage that has been done. It will continue. There will be more small things like tsunamis, but not to the extent of what happened in Japan. But it will be happening in other parts of the world. And India is going to have a couple of major earthquakes within the next 6 years. And a lot of people are going home now.
So is there anything upcoming for other countries in the world that, we can kind of, along with ourselves, we're all on this planet together, that we can offer our support either in consciousness or otherwise?
Well, consciousness is really a good thing. When these things happen, if you can go into prayer and be sending healing energy with your prayer, that's very good. Doesn't necessarily have to be financial, because there are those who have a lot of financial wealth who can step forward also and help. But what will really help is to be sending healing energy. You can do that with your prayer work. You can do it by seeing this center and then centering yourself in the light of green light of healing energy and sending that forth. So that is a good way for you to be working, and it's a blessing to these countries because these energies are felt. And when people are so devastated and frightened, then if you can be the one to help with it, then it's a blessing for you and them. And it's a growth process for both of you.
Does it look like Russia's going to continue infringing? I have friends in Slovakia, and there's a great concern that they may continue to try to expand borders, and I was just curious.
The leader they have is aggressive, is a way to put it, and he's short, and that bothers him. It's the one in Korea too, is short and bothers them, and so they show their power in other ways. I think Russia is playing games. They start to go in somewhere, and then the world reacts and they go, oh, we were just walking by. Is their thought process. So Russia too is not a country that is united as it would appear to all of you. They have people in their government who are not as intense as the leader, but they have to be very careful. So you will see some shifting and movements in that government, and they will be aggressive, but right now they're enjoying watching the United States be upset. So they think that's great. But not the whole country. We are talking about a small percentage of their government, but he is so intimidating to his people that they tend to fall in line. But there are always little chinks of things where the light can come through. So I don't think they're going to invade. I think first of all, they do not have a robust economy. So they need to be a little bit careful with where they are spending their money on weapons, because they want the space station. That's a coup for them and to the world, and it makes them feel very powerful. So they're putting some more resources toward that. So I really don't think you'll see them invading countries, but they will talk loud and frighten people.
I have a question.
Sure.
So this beautiful building, we're in the Center for Spiritual Living.
Mm-hmm.
What can we do to grow our community, and is there anything that's holding us back?
This is an interesting question about this organization, because it's grown, shrunk. You can get the word out more, I think, than you are, but you've had people who have joined here and then left because it was time for them to do different things. So I think you can grow it some. What you want to do is bring in some younger families. And so that means you're going to have to be fairly creative to get the word out. Perhaps do some more events, and do some events where there will be families, so that you can talk about being an open community where all are accepted with love. Because what's happening now in the world, especially this country, but it's happening in other countries too, like Great Britain, where people have moved away from traditional religion and they're looking for new ideas and new ways. So I do believe that you can bring more people in. You just have to be in places so people can see you, and because there's so much going on. There's all of this with the internet and so many things happening. So if you can be different places where you will see families, and that can open up. Also, there are people now whose children have gone away, and they're empty nesters, and this is an ideal place for them, where they've done all the work of raising these children, and they have grandchildren too. But this is a place for them now with new ideas. They've been so busy getting through to raise the family and do the careers, and now they're getting to the point where they can start to retire. This would be a good spot for them. So if you could go to perhaps like senior centers where people are starting to retire, looking around for new ideas. Just because people get older doesn't mean they stay focused in one idea. They start to open up then because they've done the work. And now it's like these are the golden years, and oh, this is an idea, I hadn't thought of this. So if you can get the word out to those places, you can grow this community some, yes.
Would a new building, a physical
No, I don't think that's gonna make that much of a difference. The only thing is, people like to bring their vehicles, and so they don't have a place to put them, and that hurts. But there are other ways that you could do that. There are like shopping centers close that you could make an agreement, people could park there and you could shuttle them in. So there are ideas that you guys haven't done that would work to bring more people in. But I think you will be bringing some more people in. What you want to do though is bring in some people with families so you can grow the children in these ideas, in this philosophy that is taught here. Because this philosophy is an opening philosophy that's good for people so they can start to look at what's happening and look inside. When I talked before about the way many people feel is they blame others for what's happening or what they're not happy with. Well, you can't do that with this philosophy. And that's why it's not as popular as some others. Because you have to accept responsibility for your actions. But I believe that you can bring more people in and have them open up to this idea, and it can be all ages. So look around more. The community group that does this has sort of been on hiatus, and see if you can bring some new people into that group with enthusiasm to come out and connect with others.
Go ahead, John.
Huh?
I was just asking if people had any more general questions, and then you can turn off the camera. That people may want to ask more personal.
You can ask anything. Ask something personal if you want.
I didn't know if
I'm
they-
good with personal.
I didn't know if they wanted it publicized.
Oh, not on the camera.